Hi everyone, today's topic is very interesting. We are going to talk about authentication. And getting authentication done right is very important for any enterprise application. Authentication is just like a process of verifying the identity of user, like you enter username and password, and after that you are able to access that resource. It's very crucial aspect of software security and ensuring that only authorized user is able to access the application, right? So how do we get the authentication right? This is like a very critical question, and we know the answer. Like we can do all these different type of authentication. We can choose one of the way to add authentication in your system. What are the different ways and how we can proceed, like choosing one of the type and implement it with our application. So first we are going to talk about authentication types. Like password based authentication, you just enter username and password. So I can say the 90% of the applications relies on this username and password, and then you allow user to access the application, mobile app or a desktop app or any mobile web app, right? Or you allow user to log in using third-party platform like login with a Facebook, Twitter, or social login. And passwordless authentication. I mean, this involves some hardware like biometric authentication or facial recognition. Or there is a passwordless OTP generated, like you just enter some credential, generate an OTP, and you enter the OTP. So it's like you are not entering the password, you are just entering the mobile number. Now the next part is token based authentication, and this is really very popular, and most of the application are using token based. A token is actually token based authentication method that uses a signed JSON object to represent a user claim. So you log in, you get a token. Now you play with the token to represent that you have already logged in. And there comes a Auth framework. Auth framework is for authorizing third-party applications to access the user data. Like when you log in with the Google, what you are doing under the hood, it's Auth. We'll talk in detail about this. Multi-factor authentication, which is nothing but combining two authentication approaches to add more security. You just log in with the email and a password, but no, I'm not satisfied, give me some more security token. That security token you can get through authenticator app, which you find on most of the mobile apps. So those are types. Now let's talk about what we can do with the microservices which we are writing, what kind of authentication layer we can add. So they are divided into 4 different parts: HTTP basic auth, API key based authentication, which works with server to server, bearer token based, or JWT token based authentication. And when we talk about all those things in the context of NestJS, we will talk about how you can authenticate it using username password basic auth. And once you log in between your client and server, then how your session is managed. Maybe session is managed by just a server side session, or session is managed through cookies, where client is sending the the cookies data to the server is validating it, or after passing the credentials, login credentials, you got a JWT token, which you need to send to server every time you are sending a request. So these are different implementations we are going to talk. So in this playlist, we are going to talk about all those things in the context of NestJS, and we are going to build our APIs secured with all these different authentication types.